Good morning, friends. Welcome to Journey Home Meditation's Morning Sit. Let's just take a few moments to catch our breath. When taking this time, it's good to use our conscious awareness to remember that what we're doing is participating in the sacred. And this is true always. We are always participating in the sacred, but it's only when we bring our awareness to this that we can begin to shift the way that we walk and move through these sacred moments. Through our sleep in the nights, we're breathing, we're dreaming, our bodies are sensing and feeling, but our consciousness is not there. Our conscious awareness of what's happening is not present. So when we awaken each morning and we have that conscious breath, that opportunity to be aware that we are breathing, and we are taking in this entire world and giving our entire selves to it in each moment, that is a special thing. And then everything that happens after that is just part of the sacred movement of being. But it requires our conscious awareness to understand that that's what we are doing. Otherwise, we get caught up in the play, in the theatrics, and we forget that it's our lives. Our days are made of moments, and how we live each moment is how we live our days. So, with a sense of wonder and amazement, breathing in through the nose to the bottom of the belly. And see if you can find all those stuck places in your body that are still grasping on to not being present in this moment, to not being right here with this breath. There's tensions that we have thinking about things that we have to do, or there's closedness thinking about things that have been done. There's ways that we hold our body in these positions of tension from injuries we've received, or from some stuck emotion that's keeping us bound to that moment. But if we can shift our entire focus just for a few moments to a few breaths, we can start to release those stuck places in our body. And that's the entirety of the practice is to do that, and then to do that, and then to do that, and then to do that. In any moment you can come back to this. I'm going to invite the bell. Okay. So just being with that breath, that ability that we have in any moment to come back to those few breaths and recognize what we're holding on to in our body. And I say this each morning, and I think that it's important enough of an instruction to repeat each day, because I need to hear it and I need to say it to remind myself to do it. There are days when I forget. I forget these most beneficial of things for my body. And so reminding myself that what I am holding on to in my body is held in the muscles and the bones, in the arteries and the veins. All of these things are finding a way to grasp onto moments and it's my conscious awareness that it gives them permission to be seen and to be validated and to be released. And we have tension of resentments or memories or fears. And all of this, as they come up, they are us reliving a memory of something that are taking the place of what's happening in the moment. So right now in this breath, in this moment, is an entirely new breath. It's an entirely new welcoming of the world. And I know that that can sound really trite. It's the same world, right? It's the same thing before the breath and after the breath. There's the same economic crisis. There's the same trauma from childhood. There's all these things are still there. They're not going anywhere. But it's where my attention is going that's going to be the most important thing right now. And if I continue to hold my attention on the things that bring me discord with the world around me in this moment, I will continue to not participate in this moment, because I don't want to participate in something that I have discord with. So this is the importance of the practice, is to continue to remember the moment by moment. And like I said, we are living our days moment by moment. It's how we live each moment that determine how we live our days. And how we live our days is how we live our lives. We don't know what day we have left. We just don't know. We can continue to believe in the ignorance of that truth, that I've got plenty of days left and I'll get to this later, but there is no later. There's this moment right now, and if we're living in the future or living in the past, we're stealing our moments, moment by moment, and we only have so many left. So remembering the sacredness of the moment with the breath, that's the practice. So in reality, there's this strange conundrum that exists with doing these practices, is that what we are doing in this moment is tending to those moments from the past or those moments from the future that we are stuck in, the anxiety of what's next or the depression of what's past, the nostalgia. Nostalgia is just a pretty form of depression. You know, it's when we are stuck in that place of believing that it was better then than now. Those good old days. Which is to say that now is less in comparison. And I think we have a tendency, many of us, to do that pretty regularly, that I'm not as good now as I will be tomorrow, and it's not as good today as it was yesterday. And so we're in this perpetual state of feeling less. So nostalgia is just a pretty form of depression. And so when we do this practice of being in the moment, just with the breath, just for a moment, the irony is we are tending to those things for just a bit. But in doing that, we are releasing the things that are blocking our vision from being present. You know, being equanimous in this moment, having equal vision. And you can get stuck in that practice too. Every method is a trap. Every method is a trap if it wants to be. You know, you can get stuck on your cushion meditating 12 hours a day if you'd like. And that's okay. Like, that's where you're at, that's where you're at. It's no different than 12 hours a day on your screen or 12 hours a day in your bed or... It's a matter not of what you're doing, but where you're bringing your attention while doing it. And I think that can be summed up really easily by chores and things like that, things that we don't want to do. When we're doing them with the knowledge and the information that I don't want to be doing this, then we are forcibly participating in resistance. You know, I've done dishes for many, many, many years, despite what my wife believes. No. But when doing dishes, if I do them with that sense of resentment, then I am forgetting that my dishes are dirty because my family ate food that day. That's a gift. And I'm cleaning these dishes so my family can eat food tomorrow. That's a gift. And instead I get stuck in who dirtied these dishes, who didn't rinse their plate, what the hell did they use this fork for? Whatever those words may be that we use to justify not wanting to do what we are doing. This is just the same behavior as not wanting to be in our body, not wanting to be who we are. And then we wonder why we have abandonment issues. Why we have fear of rejection, because we spend all day finding ways to reject ourselves in this moment, reject what we're doing, reject who we are, reject how we're feeling, abandon ship. We're jumping out all the time. You know, as soon as I start to feel a little unsureness and anxiety or a feeling of unfulfillment, I go right to this, and I refill my body, looking at all of the things. It's no judgment of the phone. The phone is just a method. It's just a method. It's about where I'm bringing my attention. And I need to remind myself of this daily. This is why the practice is important to me. It's the opportunity to remind myself daily. Thanks for being here this morning.
Thanks, Michael.
Yes.
For helping me bring my attention to the moment.
Yeah, I hope that that's not too painful. Yeah, it does. It generally does. But yeah, sorry for starting late this morning. It just happens sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll see you in a bit. So as I remind myself, it gives opportunity in that being aware to come into the moment of all of the things that were sort of in my way. And it's like I am on this path, but there's debris, and you have to move these things out of the way. So I move my fear of scarcity and the feelings of not having enough that I developed a long time ago, but I worked on them this morning. I fed those feelings of fear and scarcity by waking up and going, I don't have enough time for this. I don't have enough time for that. That right there is reinstilling the belief that I don't have enough. Your first identity in that statement, I don't have enough time, is I don't have enough. And we believe that. We start to function like that. So then I'm functioning in every one of my activities with a feeling of inferiority or this fear of not being competent for the job, whatever it is. I don't have enough time for this. I don't have enough patience for this. I don't have enough money for this. I don't have enough. I'm not enough. So that's debris in my path to being in the moment. And the truth is, in the moment, I am exactly what I need in this moment. You're exactly what you need in this moment. Do you have an ability to breathe in through your nose to the bottom of the belly? Let's try. Breathing in. I have enough breath. And then releasing. I have enough to give. So now I have enough. I have enough time. I have enough patience. I have enough strength in this moment to do this thing. And then you remove that debris of all of those times that you have fed that muscle of inferiority, that muscle that we have built up over time that says, just stay in bed another 10 minutes. So we're moving that out of the way. Switching it up. It's not a trick. You can, it's not a tip and trick. Give me tips and tricks of how to be in the moment. No, it's a practice. It's just a practice. And the memory that we bring up is to remind ourselves, from the moment I came into this world fully realized, it started with that breath. And I've just been doing that ever since. And I'm going to do that from that first inhale. There is a moment of holding on to this world until that final exhale. There's going to be a moment when I breathe out, and that's it. I don't breathe in. So that inhale and that exhale. This is sacred. And we forget what is sacred, and we call it mundane throughout the day, 20,000 breaths a day. And it's okay that we don't focus our full attention in every moment on every breath, because we are multitudinous. We have layers. We have all of these layers, all of these possibilities of ways to be. There are planes of existence on planes of existence on planes of existence. Experience them, move through them. But the opportunity with this practice is to remember the sacred in this moment. And the more we can do that, the more I step out of this moment, remembering I'm on holy ground, wherever I am. One of my favorite teachings is everything is sacred or nothing is sacred. Period. Another one that I really took to heart was, there is no such thing as sacred. There is that which is, and that which we have made profane. I'm not saying that it's all sacred until you abuse that. So it's helpful this morning to me. I don't know where you are in your morning. You can let us know. You can use the chat feature on whichever platform you are currently using, and communicate. Let us know where you are in your moment. And yeah, you can get stuck. And sometimes what looks like stuckness is just taking in the view. You know, it happens a lot on these back mountain roads that we live. You know, you'll see a car stopped and you pull up beside it and roll down the window and say, "Hey, is everything all right?" And the person, "Oh, it's fine. Just taking in the view." Great. And there's a small part of you that's like, "Oh, you know, I don't know if I've ever stopped on that part of this drive that I take every day just to take in the view. I'm so quick to drive from A to B, thinking that that destination is the point, but yeah. Taking in the view." There's a gentleman that I met recently, he came into Journey Home, who has the ability to drive, but he chooses to walk everywhere. And he lives quite a distance away, but he walks to town regularly, and he walks home. And he said, "You know, it used to be I would just run to town to get milk and come home, and I didn't know what happened to my days. I didn't know what was happening to my days." He said, I seemed to get the same amount of things done, but I had less experiences. But now that I walk everywhere, I seem to experience my day over and over and over again each day. I get to have experience after experience after experience. I thought that was beautiful. And maybe my body isn't currently equipped to do that in every moment, but it is the awareness that is being practiced in his walking that I can do. And Thich Nhat Hanh, the great Buddhist teacher, taught walking meditations. And he would teach to have a certain number of steps for each in-breath and a certain number of steps for each out-breath. And this would encourage his awareness and attention to two things at once, to his breathing and to his movement. And this would slow his movement and bring his awareness to each step. And he wrote a book called Peace is Every Step. And he talks about bringing that awareness to each step, meaning each movement we make in the world is a method towards peace, towards achieving peace. And I think we confuse awareness with thought. Because then my mind goes straight to, do I have to think about each step that I take? That seems insane. No, it's not about thinking, it's about awareness. And awareness in this sense is understanding what I am doing when I'm doing it. Understanding that I'm moving, understanding that I'm pausing. I think that's really beneficial. And then the actions we take, they're not as weighted or heavy with emotions. They're not, my life doesn't become chores. Sometimes, we meet these things and we feel that they are impedances in our day. Like this morning, I was just multiple things. I have some duties that I have before I come in to journey home right now that are not my usual daily program, and there are things along the way that are required for me to do, and sometimes they feel like impedances. This is impeding me from moving through my day. No, stop, breathe. This is your day. This is your moment. Breathe. Peace is every step. Take a breath. Breathe in, breathe out. This is your moment. Do you want your moment to be war with the thing in front of you, or do you want your moment to be peace with the thing in front of you? And I know it seems far-fetched. And I'm sure Thich Nhat Hanh had his share of difficult and uncomfortable moments. I'm sure of it. Of course, his body is made of that which will get sick, that which will feel pain, that which will get old, that which will die, and that which will go away. So of course, there was discomforts, there was difficulties, there were probably fits thrown, and there were probably resentments built, but there was always the breath. So I titled this sit this morning, Carpet the World or Put on Shoes. And that comes from a teaching of a prince who lived his entire life in a walled-off kingdom, a walled-off area where from the time that prince was born, everything was covered in silk. Silk was softening everything the baby would touch. And it's not unlike the story of Siddhartha, the prince who became the Buddha, who lived in this kingdom closed off from the harms and dangers and sicknesses of the world. But as this baby grew older, of course, the king had to carpet more of the world with these silk carpets. These soft, beautiful, luscious carpets were covering everything so that this prince their feet only touched the finest of silks. And eventually the prince wanted to go outside, so they carpeted the outside, and the prince wanted to leave the kingdom, so they carpeted the roads, and they spent all of the resources carpeting the world. Oh. And then they had nothing. They had no way to feed themselves. The the whole kingdom had been covered in carpets, and eventually, as the king was suffering and losing everything, this cobbler came along and he said, "I have a solution." And he brought the prince a pair of shoes. And he said, "Try these." And the prince could go wherever the prince wanted to go and was always walking on softness. The teaching in that story is you can't make the world soft, but you can soften your step on the world. And I think that that's what the awareness of breath is offering us. Let's see. We have some chatting here. Wendy says, "I'm feeling warmth from my fire, but sadness about the world." Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing how everything can be provided and still sadness is present. That becomes the knowledge that sadness is not an aberration or a broken thing about us. Sadness is a built-in component. It's built into who we are. Sorrow is the recognition that everything is going away, and joy is the recognition that everything is being born. Over and over and over again. And Wendy goes on to say, "I love that I can take photos here that are not always the same. The mountains last year look different than they do this year." Yeah, from day to day, moment to moment, what we know is going away, and what we are not yet aware of is showing up. That's it. That's joy and love and sorrow and sadness all together. There's a song that we sing, it's a heart song, and it says, "When you were born you cried, and the world rejoiced. Live your life so that when you die, the world cries and you rejoice." And it's all right there. You know, everything is what our nice, soft, silken, sandy beaches were yesterday's rough mountaintops. The dust carried on the wing of an eagle from the Himalayas, becomes the dust in the air that tickles your nose and creates a sneeze. The interconnectedness of death and birth being non-stop means that there is no beginning, there is no end. There is only this refreshing of our awareness. So if we bring our attention to the loss without bringing our attention to the birth, then we get stuck and we're living in that nostalgia of what was, what I've lost. But if we can open to what I am being given, there is this wholeness to that experience, that the joy of what I'm being given does not negate that which I have lost, but it gives me more. Now I have a bounty of experience with my person, with the person who died. Now my love moves into unconditional love, maybe for the first time, where that my love is so unconditional that I love a being without a body. Their body is gone now. Their body is part of the earth, and their spirit, their memory, their being part of who I am lives on, so now that's free. My friend Mara died last week. She's a good friend of mine, and I love her dearly. And Mara asked before she died if I would read this piece of a poem at her burial. And I'm going to find that poem right now, and I'm going to read that. That's going to be our poem for today. It's a smaller part of a larger poem by Khalil Gibran. And this, I think, really, in Mara's amazing wisdom, gave us a glimpse into the depth of her philosophy and the way that she loved this life. And she loved her death. Mara loved her death. She was excited each day for each aspect of the dying. It was beautiful to go there and be with her. And yes, she was sad to leave people behind, and she was sad for the pain that people were feeling around her, and she was sad for her own pain, but she was in love with even that sadness. It was tickling her soul as death came for her. It was beautiful. She would smile and she would put her hands together. Oh, Michael, it's coming. It's coming. And so much love, so much beauty. And this is what she asked me to read at her burial. For what is it to die but to stand naked in the wind and to melt into the sun? And what is it to cease breathing but to free the breath from its restless tides, that it may rise and expand and seek God unencumbered? Only when you drink from the river of silence shall you indeed sing. And when you have reached the mountain top, then you shall begin to climb. And when the earth shall claim your limbs, then shall you truly dance. So there's Mara right now in this moment just dancing. Hallelujah. Let's take a few breaths together and to say goodbye. I'm going to invite the bell. Breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in and breathing out. Thanks for being in this moment with me, friends. I appreciate each of you. At Journey Home today, we do have our grief group this evening, beginning at 4 p.m. And come in early if you'd like. We'll be here. Come in, have a seat, have some coffee, some tea, catching up. If you'd like to bring a small item for our ancestor shrine, you can come in and you can add a photograph of someone you want remembered, someone you grieve for. You can add a small item or token to remember our death. It would be lovely. Thanks again. Be well, friends.